Are Scat Packs more fun and more enjoyable to drive than Hellcats? YouTube, what's going on? It's your boy Knockout360 here with another video. So as you can tell, I'm in a car that makes it a car vlog. You gotta know what's going down when I come around. Let's go ahead and get into it, man. First things first, car content, car shows, car reviews, car meets, anything and everything car related happens on this channel. So if you're into that, make sure that you stick around, man, because you are in the right place. For everyone else, hit that like, subscribe button as well so that you know what's coming out. Or hit that subscribe button and then hit that notification bell so that you know what's coming out and when it's coming out, right? So let me ask you a question, man. I was talking to my dude about this, and funny enough, I've heard 2 or 3 other people say the exact same thing. Are Scat Packs more fun and more enjoyable to drive than Hellcats? Now, I know a lot of you are looking at me like, yo, this man's crazy. What's he talking about? I mean, 707 horsepower compared to 485. There's no comparison. That is true. From a power perspective, you already know the Hellcat's more powerful. It's going to get off the line quicker. It's going to accelerate faster. It's louder, this, that. Yeah, well, maybe not louder. We'll talk about that. But we already know that. From a power perspective, the Hellcat is the creme de la creme. 6.2 liter V8 supercharged Hellcat engine. We already know that. But let's look at things a little differently here. So with this Scat Pack, the car that I'm driving right now, I spin a little bit, but then I catch traction pretty quickly after that, right? And then, of course, it all depends on, you know, whatever surface I'm spinning on. Am I spinning on a perfectly prepped track, in which case I wouldn't spin? Am I on, you know, just a normal street where there's all kinds of dust and stuff like that? What I'm alluding to is with the Scat Pack being more controllable, right? Because you're 300 horsepower less than the Hellcat, or 285, 290, something like that. With the power decrease of the Scat Pack, it makes it more controllable and it makes it more fun to drive because it's literally the driver controlling the car as opposed to the car controlling the driver. Now, you know, like I know, if you've ever driven a Hellcat, or for you guys that own Hellcats, you can spin in a Hellcat in a 60 roll. You can spin in a Hellcat in a 70 roll. I've seen people do it. I've got friends that's got red eyes. I've got friends that's got Hellcats. Even myself, the couple of times that I've driven people's Hellcats, you have to baby those cars until you get to a certain speed. Now, once you get to 80, 90, 100 miles an hour, you can go ahead and beat on it and put the throttle all the way down, because at that point, in theory, you should have maximum grip and maximum traction. But when you're in those lower gears and those lower power bands and lower speeds between 0 and 60, I mean, literally 0 and 60, all you do is spin. When you get off the line, if you hit the gas hard, you spin. When you're doing 30, 40, 60 rolls, you spin. And I'm not talking about in the rain. I'm not talking about on bad surfaces. I'm talking about all surfaces. The reason, and we've talked about this in the past, the reason Hellcats lose races to inferior cars, and by inferior, I say cars that don't have the numbers, is because there's so much power and so much torque going to 2 wheels, not all-wheel drive, just 2, that all those cars do is spin. And the first 3, 4, 5 seconds of the race, if you're spinning and you're racing a turbocharged or supercharged Honda Civic that's half your weight and half your power, those cars get off the line like that. Those cars have no problem with traction. They go. And all you're doing is spinning. You will lose a lot of races. Not all of them, because you know, like I know, once that Hellcat gets traction, that's 700 horsepower that's being put to the ground, and you're not likely to catch it, or it's going to catch whatever it's running. I've seen this with Demons, I've seen this with Red Eyes, and I've seen this with regular Hellcats. All those cars do is spin. There's so much power going to the rear wheels, it doesn't matter how big your tires are. The first argument that a lot of Hellcat owners made was Dodge only gives you 275s, which I agree. Those are, you know, skates. 275s in the rear, 275s up front. I dig that. That, you know, too much power, not enough wheel. Well, even with the wide body, 305, it's getting kind of hot. Give it a minute. Even with the wide body and those 305s all the way around, they still spin. I have 315s on my car now, and I drive a Scat Pack, and to some degree, I can still spin if I wanted to. I have to want to, but in a Hellcat, you don't necessarily have to want to. You just have to put your foot on the gas and go, and you'll spin. I've seen it firsthand. I've seen Hellcats versus ZL1s. I've seen Hellcats versus supercharged or, you know, souped up SS's. Hellcats versus Mustangs 5.0s. I've seen, there's one video of a Charger Hellcat versus I think it's like a twin turbo Honda Civic, and the Honda Civic beats the Hellcat because the Hellcat was spinning so much off the line. As powerful as Hellcats are, you have to baby them, and you have to become like a really in-tune driver with your car, and everything's got to be perfect in order for your car to truly be the most dominant car out there. Like, if you look at any of the numbers that Dodge presents about the Hellcats and the Demons, it's always on a perfectly prepped track surface, on a perfect day, hot, no rain, obviously, perfectly dry track, perfectly dry surface. You know, everything's been prepped to the nines. Then you can get those crazy numbers. But when you put that car on the street and it's time to go, not saying that you guys should street race, I'm not saying that, but when you put that car on the street and it's go time, all you do is spin. And that's how, and that's why a lot of those cars end up wrapped around trees. Because whether you're in eco mode, I don't know if the Hellcats actually have an eco mode, but I know that they have the black key car, the black key mode, which is 500 horsepower. But even when you're in that mode and you still, that's, you know, even in that mode, you still spin because there's still so much torque going to the rear wheels, and all you do is spin. Whereas with the Scat Pack, a lot of power, don't get me wrong, a lot of power, but it's more controllable. You're getting the same body style as the Hellcat. You're getting the same interior as the Hellcat. You're just not getting all that power, and it makes it more fun to drive because it's more controllable. Not to mention, I would argue the Scat Packs sound a little bit better than Hellcats because it's that naturally aspirated V8 as opposed to the supercharged V8. I've always heard that Scats, and when I say heard, I've heard it from other people, and I've heard it firsthand, that Scat Packs definitely sound a lot better than Hellcats. I mean, they just sound a lot more natural, if you ask me. And a little bit louder too. Now, of course, you can get Hellcats like stupid loud. I mean, catless, the mid pipe delete, you know, third party pipes. You can do a lot to a Hellcat. You can do a lot to a Scat Pack. But me personally, I think Scats sound a little bit better. But getting back to what we were talking about here, I really feel like Scats are more fun to drive because they're more controllable. You can do a lot with the Scat, and then you can reel it back in. I've done 60 rolls. I've done 40 rolls. I really don't have to worry about spinning. I can hit the gas all the way down, drop a gear and disappear and not worry about spinning. Whereas in a Hellcat, you got to be careful of that. You got to baby your car even at 60 miles an hour on the damn highway. I've seen it. I've seen Hellcat spin at 60. I've seen Demon spin at 60. And if all you're doing is spinning, what realistically does the power mean? If you can't put it down, what does that mean? You can have 900 horsepower and go into the rear wheels. If all you do is spin for the first 60 seconds, or, you know, being facetious there, but in the first 2, 3, 4 seconds of the race, all you're doing is spinning. It doesn't matter who you race, you will lose. I saw, I remember recently, this is probably in 2020, when me and my homeboys used to go to a spot and we used to run a Hellcat versus a SS Camaro. The SS Camaro got off the line like that. The Hellcat spun easily 10, 15, 20 feet. And because it spun, it allowed the SS to essentially stay with them half the race. And then, of course, the Hellcat, you know, put the power down and took off on his ass. But he lost to a ZL1 because of that. I mean, you could see the track marks from the moment that he took off, like 2, 3, 4 car lengths down, just spinning. Meanwhile, the ZL1 took off, you know. My kind of assertion is that Scat Packs are more fun to drive because they're more controllable. And when you have a controllable car, you can do much more with it. You can really see the power that that car is putting down when it's controllable. It doesn't matter if a car's got 1,000 horsepower or 700 horsepower. If you cannot control it, that power is negligent. It doesn't mean anything. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like that's the way with the Hellcats, is that the power is so great going to those rear tires. The torque is so great that it doesn't matter if you've got 305s, 325s, 335s. If all you do is spin, you can't win, you know? Whereas with the Scat Pack, you can have a lot more fun. Obviously, the Scat Pack is, what, 290 something horsepower less, but it's also cheaper. You're also getting the same car, you know what I'm saying? That you're getting the same car that you're essentially getting the same car as you are in the Hellcat, except for what? I mean, the hood is a little different. And you get Hellcat SRT badges. Aside from that, you would not know the difference. Our cars look the exact same, identical. So don't even make it a situation where it's like the Hellcat looks better. It doesn't. They all look the same. You wouldn't be able to tell the difference unless you were like a seasoned Dodge guy like myself. You know what I'm saying? But that's my assertion. I think Scat Packs are more fun because they're more controllable. You can play with them more. You can get loose with them more. And you can get loose knowing that you can get it back in line like that, you know? Whereas with the Hellcat, if you get loose with the Hellcat, you got to be some type of driver to get it back, because that car is gone. That's 700 horsepower that you're throwing sideways. Good luck. 60 rolls, you're spinning. 65, 70 rolls, you might even be spinning at 70, you know? And if that's the case, you're not going to beat anybody. If you're spinning at 60, you can kiss it goodbye. All that power going to those back wheels, and all you're doing is spinning, you'll lose to everybody every single time, you know? Talk to your boy, man. How do you feel about that? Do you think I kind of hit the nail on the head? I mean, obviously, if you're a Dodge guy, the top is the Hellcat. The creme de la creme is the Hellcat. I want a Hellcat. You know, I'm not even going to front. I've had my Scat Pack. I love it, but I definitely want a Hellcat. I'm simply saying, if you've got Hellcat money, get you a Hellcat. But if you're on the fence, I might say get a Scat Pack, just because a Scat Pack is more fun to drive. You can have more fun with it because you can control it more, because you're not constantly babying it and kind of, you know, pussyfooting it and pussy throttling it. You can beat on it a lot more and not worry about ending up in the ditch, or not worrying about spinning for 10 seconds out the race, you know? That's just my take on it, man. I really believe the Scat Packs are more fun to drive. 392s are more fun to drive than Hellcats because of that factor. But either way, talk to your boy, man. How do you feel about it? Do you think I'm hitting the nail on the head, or do you think it's a driver situation? The reason that the car is spinning so much is because the driver doesn't understand the car. He can't harness the power of the car. Maybe they need a driver mod, a driver delete, right? In which case, then that makes sense. Because you got some guys that'll get a 700 horsepower car off the line and just mash it. And they think that it's supposed to go. It's going to go, but it's also going to spin. And a seasoned driver knows that you have to kind of inch into it. But it's like, if you've got to inch into it, if you got to do all that, I mean, what's the point? You know? But that's just your boy, man. Talk to me. Knockout 360. Let's talk about it, man. As always, it's your boy. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.